There are various types of laxatives, each with a different mode of action. Which ones will help with constipation in your case? We'll cover that in our video. You'll learn about laxatives that work for some people but worsen the condition for others by causing changes in the colon. I'll tell you how not to become a hostage to constipation, as even an enema or a laxative from the pharmacy can lead to dependence. So, what should you do for constipation? I've delved into the nuances and will walk you through the process from the inside out. However it may sound now, after watching this video, you'll rethink your approach to treating constipation. Watch the video to get rid of the problem and stop searching for new laxatives every time because the old ones no longer help. Today you'll learn which laxatives cause dependence, why is the intestine sluggish, what every Chinese person knows about constipation, and what the Japanese have invented, who won't benefit from prunes, water, and fiber. Which is more important? What inexpensive remedy saves from constipation? And what's the toilet to blame for? Let's cut to the chase, shall we? Are you sitting on the toilet correctly or not? Nature's best position is the squatting posture, famously known as the eagle pose. Our ancestors did their business this way. But you can't squat on a regular toilet. And the angle between your thighs and the toilet for smooth relief shouldn't be more than 35 degrees. It's not geometry, just basic physiology. Take a look for yourself. When the remnants of what you've eaten reach the rectum, it stretches, and its receptors respond to this, sending a signal to the brain that it's time to go. At this moment, the internal sphincter muscle relaxes, while the external one waits for your command to open. Once you're ready, the walls of the rectum contract, pushing out the contents. So, what's the pose got to do with it? Keep on watching. One of the muscles sort of loops around the rectum, and in the typical sitting posture on a high toilet, it constricts it. You end up straining to make things work. But fret not. The Japanese have long found a solution. They use toilet stools that help maintain the natural position of the body. You can place your feet on a stool, raising your knees above your hips, and voila! You can relax. But what if the posture is right, and it's still not helping? Try abdominal thrusts. It's a simple exercise. Inhale, pull your belly in, and then forcefully exhale, pushing your belly out as much as possible. Do this about 10 times to work those abdominal muscles. It should help. A healthy intestine contracts in waves to push waste through, and these abdominal movements assist in that contraction. But if it doesn't help, you need to delve deeper. Why do you have constipation? And only then cleanse the colon. The thing is, over-the-counter laxatives, whether medicinal or folk remedies, operate through different mechanisms. Some increase the quantity of stool or soften it, while others draw water into the intestines. And there are those that irritate the mucous membrane, causing the intestines to contract. They act as emergency aid. You can use them on occasion, but they're not suitable for chronic constipation. Why? Potent fast-acting laxatives contain compounds with strong laxative effects. It's believed that the intestines become accustomed to this aid and start to slack off. With regular intake of laxatives, there's a significant impact on the intestine's receptors day after day. Eventually, they simply tire out and stop responding to this powerful irritation. In such cases, there's a growing need for higher doses of the laxative, and this dependency leads to constipation, despite continuous use of laxatives. Furthermore, it results in chronic drug-induced constipation, which is generally difficult to treat with any therapy. That's why it's crucial to understand the cause rather than treating the symptoms. Statistics show that 50% of people use laxatives, and only a third of them consult a doctor beforehand. And it's a mistake. Dealing with occasional constipation, which doesn't require specialist attention, is one thing. Chronic issues are another matter. Our videos are created with attention to evidence-based medicine. We explore authoritative sources and seek comments from doctors with excellent reputations. We advise you that if you have chronic constipation, it's still best to see a doctor and find the cause. There are many reasons for constipation, ranging from eating too much meat at night to serious pathologies. However, I'll outline the 7 main causes of constipation: gastrointestinal diseases, metabolic disorders, nervous system disorders, taking medications, stress or change in environment, poor diet, sedentary lifestyle. Remember those times when it's difficult for you to use the restroom when you are nervous or anxious about loved ones? That's neurogenic constipation. Yes, it happens too. It occurs when you are frequently and intensely stressed. They say all diseases come from nerves, even constipation. During stress, our body produces more stress hormones. We've discussed this in our video about the causes of high blood pressure. The familiar stress hormone cortisol causes blood vessels to constrict. Blood flow to the intestinal muscles decreases, and the intestines stop contracting, freezing up. Even a healthy person who finds themselves in an unfamiliar environment experiences similar bowel movement problems. Many struggle to use the restroom when traveling, visiting friends, or before an important event. But it's not constipation. It's the body's normal reaction to a stressful situation. Within a day or two, everything usually returns to normal on its own. So, what exactly is constipation then? In normal conditions, you should have a bowel movement every day. You're constipated if you only go to the restroom every 3 days or less. But even if you go daily, but struggle to pass stool or feel incomplete evacuation, that can still be considered constipation. Constipation is a common problem, especially as we age. After 80, about half of people experience constipation. Doctors say that as we age, the peristalsis of the intestines decreases. Put simply, the movement of food through the intestines slows down. This happens because the intestinal muscles become weaker. Age-related constipation is also called diatonic constipation. Let's find out how to tackle this issue. As we age, we tend to move less, and all bodily processes slow down, including the activity of intestinal muscles, which leads to a lack of contractions needed to move digested food along. But if you engage in sports or simply live an active lifestyle, blood circulation increases, and the intestines work more efficiently. It's proven that physical activity reduces the risk of constipation in older adults. Without movement, the passage of food from the stomach to the toilet takes twice as long. Just walking from the fridge to the couch is unlikely to activate the intestines, but cycling and daily hour-long walks are great options. If constipation isn't linked to any pathology, disorders, or nervous conditions, then the cause is likely improper diet and lack of movement. That might be your case. Would you like to know how to cleanse your colon from constipation here and now, without medicinal laxatives? There's an excellent natural remedy for that: prunes. But everyone knows about prunes, you might say. And do you know why prunes have a laxative effect? And are you aware that you shouldn't consume prunes if you are taking blood thinners? Here's the deal. Prunes contain a lot of vitamin K, which increases blood clotting. But they also have a laxative effect because they contain a large amount of sorbitol, a sugar alcohol. Some people experience severe bloating and diarrhea from sorbitol in prunes. If you have such a reaction, you need to find another softening product. There are alternatives, and I'll tell you about them. But first, let's finish with the causes of constipation. One of them is considered to be dehydration. When constipated, you're often advised to drink more water than usual. The idea is that what's stuck will soften, and the problem will resolve itself. But no, it doesn't quite work like that. Indeed, the density of stool depends on water. Normally, stool contains over 70% water, and constipation due to lack of water is possible if you drink very little. If you're dehydrated, when there's less than 40% water in the stool, it becomes hard and lumpy. But if you have enough water, there's no need to force yourself to drink more. It won't fix the situation because the cause of constipation lies elsewhere. So, what is it? More often than not, it's a lack of fiber. Fiber acts as a prebiotic, feeding the beneficial bacteria in our intestines. In the body, fiber works like fertilizer for flowers in a garden, nourishing microorganisms. It's found in vegetables, fruits, grains, and seeds. For example, bran left after processing wheat or corn is fiber. Dietary fiber is valuable because it fosters the growth of microbes necessary for normal bowel movements. That's why adults should consume at least 400 grams of vegetables every day. 400 grams. But that's not much. That's roughly the weight of 2 small cucumbers, 2 tomatoes, and half a bell pepper. Just enough for 2 salads. By the way, fiber isn't digested, but it swells up excellently. When fiber enters the intestines, it attracts and retains water like a sponge, facilitating the passage of digested food. Without enough fiber, water isn't retained. Without enough water, there's nothing for fiber to hold onto. So, both water and fiber are essential for normal stool. Drinking liters of water but eating improperly during constipation is futile. Now, here's an important point, my friends. Not everyone knows this. There's soluble fiber that dissolves, and there are insoluble dietary fibers. Soluble fiber not only swells up with water but also forms a gel. This is what our gut bacteria feed on. For example, flaxseed porridge and husks of psyllium seeds are soluble fiber. I'll tell you about its magical properties and how to consume it a little later. Now, about insoluble fiber. It passes through the intestines along with food residues and aids in cleansing. But with all its benefits, you need to be careful. If you consume too much insoluble fiber, things can get worse. Let me explain why. Excess fiber leads to gas and puts additional pressure on the intestines. This can cause bloating and distension in the lower abdomen. So, when consuming fiber during constipation, discomfort may increase, and the constipation won't go away. Accumulated gas can obstruct the passage of stool, just like an airlock in a pipe obstructs water flow. This is when gas blocks the intestines, hindering stool passage, causing discomfort, and triggering spasms. So, don't overeat fiber. Moreover, studies show that fiber increases stool cleanliness and density only in healthy individuals, while in people with slowed peristalsis, consuming large amounts of fiber does not have such an effect. And you know what else? It turns out that you need to eat fiber correctly. Bran should be steeped in boiling water for 30 to 40 minutes to swell well. Then drain the liquid, and only then add the well-swollen bran to jelly, yogurt, soup, or eat with cottage cheese. Dietitians recommend starting with a teaspoon of bran 2 to 3 times a day, observing the body's reaction, and then increasing the dose to 2 tablespoons 2 to 3 times a day. And, of course, it's essential to understand that the fiber content in bran varies, so those with higher fiber content should be consumed in smaller quantities, and vice versa. Taking medications or dietary supplements can also cause constipation. You read the instructions for medications, and it says, constipation may occur. What can you do? This is a common side effect of most drugs. Many essential medications, necessary for health or even life, decrease intestinal activity. Your constipation may be caused by taking medication. Therefore, ask your doctor to find a replacement for the medication and focus on restoring your microbiota. Microbiota. This word refers to the intestinal flora, which includes all bacteria, viruses, fungi, and other microorganisms found in the gut. There are 7,000 species of bacteria, fungi, and protozoa, and 1,200 species of viruses inhabiting the gut. Altogether, there are 40 trillion microbes and 1 quadrillion viruses in the gut. That's more than the stars in a galaxy. By the way, recent studies have shown that gut microbiota affects not only our physical but also mental health, including mood. Yes, some types of bacteria in the gut produce substances that influence mood. For example, The happiness hormone called serotonin is produced in the gastrointestinal tract. It turns out that 90% of this hormone is produced by intestinal microbes. It's incredible that our happiness depends on bacteria. And not just happiness. Scientists have found that people with depression often have an imbalance in their gut flora. The human body never ceases to amaze. Well, now we have someone to blame for bad moods. The gut. But seriously, constipation doesn't bring joy to life. We need to help the microorganisms in the gut. I'll tell you how. Fermented food to the rescue. It's fermented food, traditional folk remedy that helps cleanse the gut. Fermentation, or in simpler terms, fermentation. And fermented products are anything that ferments, sours, or soaks. As a result, you get a unique tasting product that contains live microorganisms, probiotics. That's what we need. Just don't confuse them with prebiotics. It's different. Prebiotics are food for gut microorganisms, let's recall fiber. And probiotics are the microorganisms inside the intestine. But let's get back to fermentation. The benefits of such products have long been known. Fermented food alters the composition of trillions of bacteria, viruses, and fungi that live in our intestines. Scientists have proven the benefits of fermented products. And Koreans know without evidence that daily consumption of fermented cabbage kimchi helps regulate bowel function. Spicy fermented kimchi is made from Napa cabbage and is so popular that Koreans eat it every day. This low-calorie food is rich in fiber and vitamins and helps cleanse the intestines of accumulated waste. Kimchi has even been included in the list of the healthiest foods in the world. In Russia, another fermented remedy is beloved: sauerkraut. Cabbage is rich in vitamin C and B vitamins, essential for the nervous system. Here's the important part. Sauerkraut helps with constipation, not pickled cabbage. Sauerkraut ferments in its own juice in warmth, while pickled cabbage does not undergo the fermentation process, and beneficial bacteria do not develop in it. If you've never fermented cabbage, now is the time to start. Besides, it's not difficult at all. Anyone can handle it. For fermenting, late-season white cabbage is suitable. For 2 medium-sized cabbages, you'll need 1 carrot, 2 tablespoons of salt, and 1 teaspoon of sugar. Then, shred the cabbage, grate the carrot, mix everything well, and knead it by hand along with the salt and sugar. Then, place it in a warm place for 3 days to ferment. If you have a favorite sauerkraut recipe, feel free to share it in the comments. And I'll share with you ways to relieve constipation used by different cultures. In India, for example, they practice breathing exercises to stimulate the intestines and perform gentle circular massages clockwise in the abdominal area. Soft and rhythmic movements stimulate digestion and awaken the intestines. In China, the massage technique is slightly different, but the essence is the same. Soft circular movements clockwise. And every Chinese knows that cabbage helps greatly with constipation. Seaweed cabbage. To be precise, yes, the Chinese have their own seaweed cabbage. It contains a lot of iodine, which speeds up metabolism and stimulates the movement of food through the intestines. They even tested this on mice. They conducted a study and found that administering seaweed cabbage extract to the test mice made the stool softer and increased its volume. But doctors warn that an excess of iodine can cause thyroid disease. If nodules are found in the thyroid gland on ultrasound, consuming seaweed cabbage regularly can be unsafe. In Japan, they drink green tea for constipation. It contains special substances called catechins, which improve digestion and accelerate the passage of food through the intestines. But of course, tea doesn't provide immediate relief from constipation. Like fiber, it works preventatively. So, what helps in the moment? What needs to be done to make everything come out at once? Emergency remedies include a micro-enema with vegetable oil and flax seeds. A teaspoon of flax seeds is poured with half a glass of boiling water and left for half an hour. Then it is strained, and 10 milliliters of refined sunflower oil is added to the infusion. Using a rubber enema syringe, the pleasantly warm mixture is inserted into the rectum while lying on your back, having previously lubricated the anus with vegetable oil. You'll need to lie down for 10 to 20 minutes, in case you feel the urge to go to the bathroom. If not, you can brew marshmallow root or herb. But try not to drink more than 50 to 100 milliliters of this infusion at a time. I know another remedy that's considered ideal for constipation. It's psyllium. Ever heard of it? It's 88% soluble fiber. In the stomach, it turns into a gel-like mass that coats the mucous membrane and even removes toxic substances from the body. Psyllium husk increases the volume of your stool and softens it. Flaxseed also works similarly. For example, psyllium is tasteless, so you can add it to patties or baking to regulate your stool. For constipation, mix a teaspoon of psyllium husk with a glass of water, juice, kefir, or drinking yogurt, and drink it immediately. It's recommended to drink it in the morning, half an hour before eating, and during the day and evening, an hour after eating. Psyllium husk can be freely purchased at a pharmacy or ordered online. Instead of psyllium seeds, you can opt for flax seeds. They also absorb water well and retain moisture. Moreover, they contain a large amount of fatty acids, which additionally soften fecal masses. But the main thing is that flaxseed husks contain substances that compensate for the lack of female sex hormones during menopause and beyond. So, it's recommended for women over 50. Here's the recipe. Pour a glass of boiling water over 1½ teaspoons of whole seeds. Stir after 15 minutes. Take the swollen seeds orally, 1 teaspoon each, in the morning and evening, with plenty of water. Now, let's figure out which herbs can cleanse the intestines. Let's focus on the most effective options and find out which herbal tea or infusion is suitable for constipation. You can alternate weekly between teas with ordinary flax herb, birch leaves, with meadowsweet, immortal, corn silk, or with tansy flowers. To do this, pour a pinch of ground dry medicinal plant material with a glass of boiling water before meals. Cover with a lid and let it infuse while you're eating. Let me remind you that the information we're sharing is for informational purposes only. When it comes to selecting laxatives, especially if you have persistent constipation issues, it's recommended to consult a doctor. Also, with prolonged use of herbal remedies, tolerance can develop. This doesn't mean you won't be able to have a regular bowel movement without them. It just means their effectiveness decreases, and you need to switch things up. Now, let's talk about food. When dealing with constipation, doctors advise eating 4 to 5 times a day. Incorporate fruit and vegetable juices into your diet. Eat figs, dates, prunes, bananas, and non-acidic apples. All of these work as natural laxatives. Let me explain using figs as an example, which many people love. Remember when I mentioned soluble and insoluble fiber? Figs contain both. When ingested, the fiber from figs attracts and absorbs water, causing it to swell. The swollen fiber increases stool volume, signaling to the body that it's time to make space. Dates and other softening fruits work similarly. Additionally, they contain fruit acids that stimulate intestinal activity. Conversely, rich dough, rice porridge, potatoes, and fatty meat slow things down. Don't forget that some fruits and vegetables are contraindicated for individuals with specific intolerances. For those with chronic gastrointestinal conditions, it's essential to exercise special caution and seek advice from a specialist. Another point to note is that suppressing the urge to defecate leads to constipation. You shouldn't hold it in. Your body listens to you literally. You hold it once, twice, thrice, and before you know it, you're going to the bathroom only once a week. But what did you expect? Our bodies quickly adapt to circumstances, and if you deny it the chance to get rid of waste when needed, it might just wait. However, this isn't beneficial in the long run. Experts warn about intestinal obstruction, and indeed, Prolonged and treated constipation can lead to it. But these are extreme cases. I'm sure you'll take action in time and consult a doctor. Constipation is a temporary problem that everyone faces. Whether it becomes chronic largely depends on you. Teach your body to go to the bathroom at the same time, ideally in the morning. Wake up, drink water, assume the correct posture, and empty your bowels. Try to stress less, eat fiber but in moderation and correctly, and move around to help your intestines push out what's been processed. Hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. New episodes will help you maintain your health.